we're going to do. I mean, we've had our house listed on Trusted House Sitters for 3 weeks now, and not a single application. It seems to work for everyone else, but not for us. We have a nice house. I like our house. I would think our dog is cute. Our house is cute. I would think we would get at least one application. This is ridiculous. Well, I heard that Dana used someone from Trusted House Sitters and they broke her stove. I mean, can you believe it? How do you break a stove? This is just ridiculous. And they didn't even tell her. How do you break a stove? Exactly. No, seriously. How do you break a stove? Okay, I didn't ask Dana the details. She just said they broke the stove. I mean, did they break the top part? Did she have like an induction oven thing going on? I didn't ask Dana. She just told me they broke her stove. Okay. Did they just break the knob on the stove? Well, I hope you get an application. I can't believe this. I can't believe this. I mean, I trusted this person to take care of my little fluffy wuffy and to take care of my home. And the place looks like it's been trashed. There's garbage on the floor. There's dog poo on the floor. And they broke my blinds. I mean, really, what on earth were you trying to do with the window where you would actually break the blinds? I will never use that website again. My little fluffy wuffy, I am so sorry. Mama should have just put you in a kennel. Yes, I should have. Yes, I should have. Oh, my little fluffy wuffy, you smell. Okay, let's go wash you and clean this shit up. What's up? This is Ray with Get Real Ray, a place and space for life and business tips from this creative soul to hopefully inspire you on your journey, or at the very least provide you with some laughs. And so let's get real. Let's get real about being a homeowner and allowing a house sitter to stay in your space. Okay, so this video is specifically about trusted house sitters, and I wanted to give some tips to homeowners to help them have a more successful experience when it comes to picking a sitter. First, this is actually like a little series, okay? So this first video is going to be about why you are not getting applications, because actually that's kind of important. None of this really makes any sense if you don't actually have applicants. I've been on Trusted House Sitters now for almost a year. Yay! And I have loved it. I also spent some time in the Trusted House Sitters online forum, the community forum, where people are asking questions and making their complaints. I also looked at some Reddits. I've looked at some other YouTubers' videos on Trusted House Sitters. A lot of videos out there are actually geared towards house sitters, people who are looking to get that house sit, but not a lot out there for homeowners, which is why this is for you. Okay, so I have a little list. I actually tried recording this almost a year ago. And I was recording outside and the sun came down and I was recording in the dark. So it's actually better that I'm re-recording now because I have more thoughts, ideas, and insights into the things that I'm going to be listing for you. And I want to encourage you to stay through to the end, okay? So why? Not just to help the algorithm, but because I have not placed these really in any sort of order of priority. And if you are someone who has spent money on Trusted House Sitters and you feel like you have not had any applicants, any one of these things could be the reason why you have not had any applicants. I am going to have to look at my list a couple of times because I feel like all these things are equally important, and so I want to make sure I get it right. Okay, so item number one we're going to talk about is location. And if you are not getting any applicants, then something to consider is, where are you located? Now, I have to say that I have had the experience where a homeowner has listed that their home is in a major city. But when we get on a call, which I'll talk more about that later, they tell me that the home is actually in the city next to the major city. And thanks to Google Maps, I realized that the location of their home, it would take me almost an hour to get to that major city. They told me like, oh, we're like, 15, 20 minutes away from downtown. And they're not. They're just not, right? I don't know how fast they drive, but when I'm observing the speed limits, it is not 15, 20 minutes away. It's more like an hour. But as the house sitter, I would not have known this had I not accepted the sit and seen the address and had that conversation with them beforehand. I could have very much in my conversation beforehand said, can you give me your zip code so that I can make sure that this home location is actually close enough to where I want to be. But it wasn't a big deal for me. So why am I saying all this? Well, some forums will recommend, if you live in a kind of out of the way area, but you're near a big city, then just put the big city and that way you'll get more applications. And while that can be a great way to get more applications, you do need to be upfront with sitters about where you are located, because you don't want a bad review with someone saying, well, they said they were 20 minutes away from this big city and they weren't. And now I hate this place and I'm going to give you 4 stars for communication or something ridiculous. Now, with all of that aside, let's say that you decide, no, I'm nowhere near a big city and I'm just going to list the city that I'm in because I want people to know. And you should be, hopefully you are proud of your city, wherever it is that you live. I think about the fact that if you're not in a big city or near a big city, you might not be getting a lot of applications. Think about what are the perks of your city, okay? So yes, if you're not in a big city, it's going to be harder. However, one thing you can do is list early, plan in advance. And you might not be a planner, you might be a total last minute person, but I strongly recommend if you live someplace that is a couple of hours away from a major airport or more than an hour away from a big city, then you need to be proactive, make your plans ahead of time, and set up that listing. If you're just like, oh, well, actually, we don't have our tickets lit, then go ahead, guesstimate what dates you'll need, and make that listing. A lot of sitters are more than happy to apply. And then if you have to adjust the dates by like 1 or 2 days or something, they're just like, yeah, that works for me. Because if you can lock in your sitter in advance early enough, then you also can have that conversation of, we haven't gotten our tickets yet. We're looking at this time frame. If we have to adjust it by a day or 2, is that going to be a problem for you? And most people are just like, no, right? If they're booking a sit with you really early in advance, and that means that they are also trying to make their plans in advance. There are a lot of sitters like myself out there who do this house sitting thing full time. And so they are more than happy to be able to plan around your schedule. And with enough notice, they can make sure that they line up another sit that bumps right up against your sit, which is much better than everyone scrambling around last minute. Also, when it comes to being proud of your city and your location, think about what makes your area special. So if you are actually living someplace that is not well known, well, what makes it special? Like the place I'm in right now, I wish they had mentioned that this is actually near a lot of wine vineyards. And for wine lovers, there's a lot of opportunities to go wine tasting. There's also some cute shops and a really great opportunity just to explore nature. Also, you might not be in an area where there are, say, wine vineyards, but there might be other major attractions. Maybe it's an up-and-coming area. Maybe the fact that it is only 30 minutes or an hour away from a major city in and of itself is a perk. So list this in the description, and it will help house sitters feel really confident in applying for your space, and also just keep everyone's expectations organized. Another thing you should think about is photos. So I have seen a lot of listings where there's tons of photos of that pet looking super cute, but remember, Trusted House Sitters actually has a section for you to put a picture of your pet. Yes, you can put some pictures of your pet in your initial listing, but I've seen things where it's like dog with hat, cat with sweater, dog with little shoes, dog sleeping, cat on husband's lap, cat with grandchild. I don't need all that. No one needs all that, okay? Maybe like 4 pics tops. If you have more than one pet, then 2 for each pet. There you go. Done and done. House sitters want to see what the home looks like. I actually got on the phone with a potential house sit, and I had to decline because I learned in our conversation that I would be in the apartment in my own room, but there's also a roommate, and the roommate had a friend visiting from out of town. And so they might be there that weekend, they might not, they weren't sure. And I'm thinking, I don't want to stay in this home with possibly 2 other strangers and this puppy where the kennel was in the closet. It was a lot. And as much as I wanted to go to that city, I thought, this is not going to be for me because I'm not going to be relaxed. And it's not an Airbnb. I don't want an Airbnb experience. When I want an Airbnb experience, I book on Airbnb. But I don't want to feel like, am I too noisy for the roommate? Or is the roommate and her friend too noisy for me? Which is more likely the option. You know, if they're just like hanging out in the living room, I don't want to have to deal with that. Now, if you're like, well, Ray, we actually have a home and we're on several acres, that wouldn't be a problem for us. Well, don't put a million photos of your pets on your profile. Show what the property looks like. I've seen so many listings where we get some blurry photo of the living room, tons of pictures of the pets, but no photo of the area where the house sitter will sleep. And that is a major no-no. Because if I look at a profile and I can't see where I'm going to sleep, I'm not applying. Sometimes homeowners will have a photo of a fold-out couch. And if it's a long house sit, if this house sit is more than a week, I personally cannot sleep on a pull-out couch bed. That does not work for me for a house sit that's more than a week. So think not just about those photos, but how comfortable is the sleeping space and the home going to be for that house sitter, especially on a long sit. It's one thing if you're like, hey, I'll take any like college student or, someone fresh out of high school who is only going to be here a little bit to sleep when mainly they're just going to be out of the house. But, also if they're taking care of your pet, then I assume they have to be around the house for a bit. Anyway, choose your photos wisely. Show photos of where the house sitter will sleep. Show photos of your kitchen, which may seem kind of weird, but we want to know, like, is this a kitchen we can actually cook in? Or is this an area where, we're not going to be cooking in that kitchen. We might as well just go ahead and eat out. Maybe you are a homeowner who eats out all the time and you don't even use your kitchen. But having that photo available will let us know whether or not we can function there. I went to one house set where it took me like a day to realize, there's no microwave. I don't really use microwaves myself anyway. But I had to ask myself, was that in the listing? For a lot of people, that would be not ideal because the home was up this mountain, so it was really hard to get to. And not having a microwave, you're not able to go out and eat out a lot unless you want to drive back down this hill in the steep driveway. Ordering takeout is going to be very difficult. And so being able to cook there would be ideal, but a lot of people are not comfortable cooking without a microwave or an air fryer. I was fine. I loved their stove. Okay, so having great picks, of course, is key. Aside from having great picks, you also want to, and I'm going to check my list, friends, so 1 second. You also want to make sure that your listing doesn't have unreasonable demands. Now, if you are going to be gone for a lengthy period of time, I say more than a week, and you have a garden, or you know it's winter when it snows, you have to be mindful of what you are asking a house sitter to do in your absence. Okay, so remember, Trusted House Sitters is a platform designed for a mutual exchange of services. As the homeowner, you are saying, please, feel free to stay in my home. As the house sitter is saying, thank you for letting me stay in your home. In exchange for this generous offer, I will collect your mail or take care of your pet. Maybe I'm collecting your mail and taking care of your pet. And I will notify you if there is anything wrong with your pet or your home, like a pipe burst or random burglars checking out your property or something, right? But it is not the house sitter's responsibility to mow your lawn, shovel your driveway, shovel your snow, plow anything, clean your home, wash your pets. No, and no. If these are all things that you normally do yourself, great. However, if you're going to be gone, you have to think about, how are these big things that I always do myself going to be taken care of? Now, I have washed pets with zero problem because I'm like, oh, we went to the beach and you're really dirty. Or, oh, you were playing outside and now you have a muddy face and muddy paws and you want to get in bed with me? Oh, let's wash you. I've got no problem washing pets. However, I have been in a situation where I've stepped into the shower and seen, like, shampoo on the shower wall. And the help yourself to some fruit. Oh my gosh. It's nice to offer us food, but if you're like, oh yeah, just help yourself to some fruit, help yourself to anything, and it's literally some apple or orange that has been sitting in your home for a while and is changing color and making the place smell, it is not my job to throw away stuff you couldn't be bothered to throw away. At times, I will just take that slowly rotting fruit and just stick it in the fridge and let it sit there until the homeowner gets back, because I'm not your cleaner. The house sitter is not your cleaner. The house sitter should clean up after themselves and return the property in the same manner in which they were given the property. Ideally, they'll return the property even better, but that's not going to be every house sitter, right? So at the very least, we have the expectation of, I'm going to leave you a clean space to occupy. Please leave it just as clean when you leave. Now, with that being said, there is no situation where, as a house sitter, I want to go out and shovel snow. Not happening. There are going to be sitters who have never even lived in a place where there is snow, so they might agree to a sit, and then it gets really heavy snow in your area, and then they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to really do this, or they start shoveling and they hurt themselves, and that could be a potential lawsuit for the homeowner if this house sitter hurts themselves while trying to shovel snow on your property. So with that being said, make plans. You're saving on not having to have a kennel or something like that. You're saving on not paying somebody from Rover to come and be in your space. So take part of that savings and make sure that you have someone you can call. So if that heavy snowstorm hits, you can call this company, this person, and have them come over and plow your driveway, your steps, your sidewalk. So that way you're not in any issues with your city or local ordinance, and your house sitter is also safe and protected. Be smart, not cheap or lazy. I also want to extend for unreasonable demands in the listing. I've seen things like, my dog must have 3 45-minute walks a day. You must use all of this special food. A house sitter is expected to mow the lawn. No, because this is already more than you're giving us. You're giving us a place to stay and use of your utilities. Your utilities are probably going to be higher if you were home, unless you are opening your space to a couple or a family. You know, if you are a party of 2, opening up your space to a couple, then, well, no. I meant, if you're a party of 2, if you're a couple, and you're going to be opening up your space for 2 weeks to a family, okay, family of 4. I got my math right. Then yeah, the utilities might be a bit higher. Absolutely. However, again, the amount of money you would have had to pay to put your pets in a kennel is far more than what you would pay for those utilities. Now, I have seen some homeowners list, hey, there's no pets at this home. We're going to be gone for 3 months. And we expect for the sitter to pay those utilities or part of the utilities. I personally pass up on this because, like I said, you're already saving money on not having to make other arrangements for your home. Okay, you don't have a pet, so you're not paying for a kennel, but you could go onto a site and pay for someone to stay in your home while you're gone. So you're not paying for that. If I'm in your home and there are no pets, I'm still responsible for making sure that you are notified if a pipe bursts, if there's some kind of weird alarm going off in your home. Having a presence there also keeps a place from being burglarized. So if you were home, you would have utilities and you would have to pay for those utilities. I honestly feel that people who don't have pets in the home and just want someone to occupy the home, maybe you don't even have plants. I've seen that too. Like, I don't even have plants to water. I just want someone here. Great, no problem. I mean, if I'm watering your plants, then I am doing a service for you, and mutual exchange of service. I'm going to water your plants. You're going to let me stay here. However, no pets, no plants, no problem. Just be mindful and state that you're looking for a single sitter. And then that way you don't have to worry about those utilities going through the roof. When you are interviewing sitters, and you should interview sitters, but that's another video, you can ask people, you know, oh, what are your plans in the area, right? A sitter who's going to be in your home 24/7 playing video games or something is probably going to have higher utilities than a sitter who maybe is planning on being out and exploring the city. Just something to think about. Okay, so we talked about location. We talked about photos. We talked about unreasonable demands and having realistic expectations in terms of what someone can give. In terms of that dog that needs to walk 3 times a day, if you are a family, that's very easy for your family to make sure that dog gets the walk 3 times a day, because it's rarely that one family member taking the walk out 3 times a day. Now, when I say 3 times a day, we're not talking potty breaks. I've seen people list like, my dog needs 3 45-minute walks a day, or my dog needs a minimum of 2 hours of exercise first thing every morning, plus all these other things. And that could be great for a sitter who is not working, just on vacation. In terms of a sitter who wants to explore your area, it can be a bit inconvenient. So are you not getting applications because your demands are listing things that someone might consider inconvenient? If your dog needs 2-hour walks first thing every morning, and that sitter was hoping to be able to go out and explore the city, do they have to put your dog in a crate or something after they do that 2-hour walk? If that sitter isn't going out to explore the city, but they work, and maybe they work online like I do, carving out 2 hours just to meet your expectation is a lot. It's a lot. You're not paying us. So house sitters should not lose time from their own paid work or really from their vacation in order to make sure that your specific requirements are met. Your dog can't be left alone for more than 4 hours or 3 hours. Okay, dog can't be left alone for more than 4 hours. You are an hour away from the major city that the house sitter is coming to that area to explore. So now this house sitter has to think, well, I'm only going to get 2 hours in that major city before I have to be back to make sure your dog goes to the bathroom. Is this worth it? So if you're not getting applications, one reason could be is that the house sitter has said, oof, your needs for your pet just don't match what I'm able to give. So if you have some flexibility, I mean, I've had homeowners say, hey, Ray, actually, I think we can work this out. What I can do is I can have a dog walker come by. What I can do is I can have my neighbor come by. What I can do is I can put my cat in a kennel for that one night that you know you have to be away. And other than that, this sounds great. Knowing that there is some flexibility is really nice. So put that in your description, in your listing, so that way more applicants can see, okay, maybe the location is a little far, but the photos look great. That bed looks comfy. Woo! The place looks clean. Make sure you're taking the time to clean your home for those photos, okay? If you are not a clean person, we'll address that in the next video. Don't lie. But, you know, I mean, I've seen photos where I'm like, oh my gosh, I would not want to be there because you haven't even taken the time to pick anything up. Maybe this is not how your house normally looks, but this feels like a lazy listing. And if you were lazy, you're going to waste my time. I'm going to be stressed. I ain't staying there. And we've also looked at how making sure you communicate in that description what your expectations are. Realistic expectations is key. If you have unreasonable demands, you need to rethink things and make another plan for those things that need to be done that might be asking a little much of someone that is not being paid. Additionally, you want to make sure that you've expressed whether or not there is some flexibility. So letting people know that, hey, you can use my car, or we can pick you up from the airport if you don't have a car, or if you need to be away for a number of hours, this isn't a problem because we have a neighbor who loves fluffy muffins and would be more than happy to come over and feed fluffy muffins for that one night. So being open and clearly communicating, these are two things that really do go a long way. So those are three things to really consider in terms of why you are not getting applicants, and 3 things you can do to improve your chances of getting strong applicants. Once again, you want to make sure you consider your location, you're honest about your location, and you highlight the amazing things about your location. You also want to make sure that you are posting photos of the property and where people will sleep, where they'll shower. If there are off-limits areas, let us know. But any space in which the sitter will be able to occupy, please include photos of that. If you want to include photos of your pets, great, but keep it to a minimum. It can also be a red flag for a sitter if there are way more pictures of the pet than there are of the property, because this also tells us, well, what are you expecting from us while we're in your home? Are you going to be messaging me multiple times a day asking for pictures or video of your pet? Are you going to want me to put your pet on FaceTime? What is happening here? And lastly, making sure that you do not ask of a sitter far more than you would ask of a close friend. If there are major tasks that you normally handle on your own, have a backup plan. Don't put it on the sitter. Just don't. Have another arrangement made so that way the sitter can really prioritize feeding and caring for your pet, or watering your plants, and just making sure that your home is returned in a really amazing state. I will just add a little story here. There was a house sit that was in Hawaii. I passed up. I went back on a few months later to kind of see like, I wonder if they got anyone. And this woman did. And I think this person had at least 2 different sitters. The first sitter didn't mention much, but the second sitter did. And this was not a 5-star review. And I'll tell you why. This sitter said that though the location was beautiful, they didn't feel that the homeowner was completely honest with the listing. That they were expected to do a good amount of work on this person's farm. And mind you, the listing says like, hey, you are here just to take care of my pet. There's farm workers, but don't worry about them. You're just here to take care of my pet, right? The homeowner sent multiple messages to that sitter asking for them to run various errands. And the sitter was also expected to communicate messages to the farm workers. And this isn't what they signed up for. They thought they were just going to take care of a pet in Hawaii in this really unique space, and that's not what happened. And that was my fear when I looked over the homeowner's initial reply to my inquiry. And I felt like, after reading that, I felt like, whew, I dodged a bullet. And so, with that being said, don't lie. Because when you lie, it is going to come back to you, and you will have a sitter who's just like, they will be honest in their review. You will have less than 5 stars, and sad as it may be, it does cause for future sitters to really look at your profile a little bit more closely and carefully consider whether or not you are worth the risk. Isn't that crazy? If you're not 5 stars, you're risky. But this person had less than 5 stars because of communication and because of cleanliness. And I think there was one other thing. So had they just been really honest up front, not a problem. Now, do sitters always get it right in their reviews? No. I saw another sitter review a previous house sit of mine, and they gave it like less than 5 stars because they said that place wasn't clean, which I thought that's impossible because that home has a house cleaner, and that house cleaner does a really good job. So I don't even know. But I am going to cover how to look out for problem sitters in another video. So with that being said, I hope you found these tips helpful, and go ahead and watch my next video so you get some more ideas of what you can do to improve your listing.